The microphones are working?
Yes.
Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Skokie Village Board for August 21st, 2023. This evening, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Village Clerk Pramod Shah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Sutker.
Here.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Kuhn.
Here.
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Pure Slovin.
Here.
Trustee Klein.
Here.
Mayor Windus.
Here, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. A motion is in order. Trustee Klein, seconded by Trustee Kuhn. There's been a request to, under appointments, to take off B. Is there anything else anybody would like? Yes.
I want to remove 11A, the special use permit for the drive-through, just so I can maintain my vote from the first reading.
Mayor, I'd like to, remove from the consent agenda, item number C, the reappointment of Plan Commission.
Okay, so B, C under 8, and A under 11. Is there anything else anybody would like to have removed? If not, call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovin.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Mayor Windus.
Aye, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an awards presentation. The first one is the 13th Annual Public Health Partners of Excellence Awards. Dr. Edward Lynn, Chairman of the Board of Health, and Mike Charlie, Director of the Department of Health, will do the honors. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening to all. It's with a great deal of pleasure that I stand before you to announce the 13th Annual Public Health Partners in Excellence Awards. The Skokie Health and Human Services Department cannot provide critical services without the cooperation, collaboration, and assistance of many individuals and organizations. Each year, the Health and Human Services Department and Board of Health recognize individuals or organizations that have provided exceptional public support through public health initiatives for the Skokie community with the Public Health Partners in Excellence Award. This year we'll be recognizing one Skokie organization and one individual with this award. The two recipients are the Skokie Community Health Foundation. Today we honor an extraordinary organization that has transformed Skokie, the Skokie Community Foundation. Since 2014, they've tirelessly united us through meaningful giving, collaboration, and community programs. Their impact has been astounding, funding projects in social services, youth and senior support, and health. By fostering collaborations, they have deepened existing ties and forged new ones, enriching our community fabric. Remarkably, their grant program since 2015 has funded 40 projects, injecting over $225,000 of funding into diverse community concerns. The foundation story is a testament to the power of unity and purpose. Just an example, their funding has provided services through Connections for the Homeless in terms of housing security, the Early Childhood Alliance with early childhood behavioral and learning support, Oakton Community College Workforce Development Program, Turning Point and Teen Mental Health, School District 69 Student Healthcare Vouchers Program for uninsured students for dental, vision, mental health, as well as transportation to providers, and JCFS Chicago and Skokie Library for Teen Mental Health Program. So let us applaud the Skokie Community Foundation, a catalyst for positive change and a guardian of collaboration and a beacon for guiding us to a brighter future.
going to help. Does anybody here know Ann Tennyson? Okay. So along with the recognition in front of the board, we also wanted to present plaques to the two winners tonight, deserving winners tonight. And as the Director of Health and Human Services, I just want to thank the Skokie Community Foundation for everything they've done. I've worked closely with Jim. Jim, I saw you, by the way. He's here. There's so many great things in the community, and I think recognition is long overdue for this award. So I don't know if you want to, there's a plaque for you guys, and I don't know, Ann, if you wanted to say a few words and introduce the people that are here tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Dr. Lim. On behalf of the Skokie Community Foundation, I'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude for this recognition and award. I'd like to quickly introduce my fellow board members. Founding Chairperson Jean Griffin is here, Una McHugh, Syed Mahmood, our social media specialist, Johanna Jackson Whitman, our Executive Director, Jim Shapaniak. Behind them, Bob Quain and Aline Eliasoff. This is just a representation of our board members. Again, we are delighted to partner with you as we all share the common goal of improving the lives of Skokie residents, particularly those who are most vulnerable. Thank you.
Today we honor the achievements of Dr. Namratha Kandula of the South Asian Healthy Lifestyle Initiative, or the SAHELI, SALI. Data shows that South Asians in the U.S. have a higher risk of heart disease, but there was a lack of research on prevention in the South Asian community. Dr. Kandula, in partnership with the Skokie Health and Human Services Department, the Institutes of Health, Northwestern University, and several other organizations, developed a culturally adopted program that started in 2018 to improve the health of South Asian American adults at risk of heart disease in the Chicagoland area. The program included group classes on healthy eating, physical activity, stress management, with a focus on South Asian values. Over 5 years, 549 participants, including many Skokie residents, benefited from the culturally relevant interventions, such as group classes on these healthy lifestyle initiatives. In addition, participants were provided with ongoing education and social support. Participants who underwent the intervention reported increase in self-assurance in adopting healthy eating and exercise habits, improved diet quality, heightened physical activity levels, and better overall health. The establishment and the establishment of new social connections. The initiative showcased a collaborative effort involving academic researchers, community representatives, public health entities, and the healthcare system partners. This collaboration served to raise community awareness regarding research significance in terms of heart disease and the value of healthy lifestyle. Community partners were galvanized to address health disparities within the South Asian American population, leading to the integration of this community into various health initiatives. The collaboration further bolstered organizational capabilities and garnered attention toward South Asian American health concerns. It's also highlighted culturally tailored strategies for heart disease prevention, aiming to mitigate disparities within this demographic. In recognition of Dr. Kandula's exemplary efforts, we proudly present her with the Public Health Partners in Excellence Award. Dr.
Absolutely. So I'm deeply honored to receive this award today. Thank you all. I want to acknowledge and recognize several of our partners who are here. Dr. Margaret Clausen, who's the superintendent of the school district D69, Emily Anderson, our project manager, Subia Javed, our community health specialist, Roshita Pandi and Himali Barucha from Metropolitan Asian Family Services, and one of our Saheli board members, Dushyant Sharma. We really were hoping when we started this project that we would impact the lives of people in a positive way, and one of the challenges of research is making sure that it gets out to the community and actually changes people's lives. And so today I feel like I can say that we have done that, and thank you so much for this recognition.
The next item is a report, a presentation by Rich Ivanitz on the Skokie's 4th of July parade. Rich?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'll just speak up. Mr. Mayor, Clerk Shaw, there you go. Beautiful butterfly. Thank you so much for having me. As the mayor said, I'm Rich Ivanitz, chair of the Skokie 4th of July Parade Committee. Happy to report that after a 3-year hiatus, the parade did come back this year. And I wanted to share with the trustees and everyone a few statistics about this year's parade. There were 76 parade units featuring 1,393 participants and over 1,929 feet of parade. Not the longest, but definitely a good and healthy turnout this year. Parade started at 12:02, ended at 1:40. I'd like to keep it under an hour and 45 minutes, so mission accomplished. We also broke a record with the most social media postings on parade day ever. We hope to continue that because we love to see these kinds of pictures. You know, everyone enjoying themselves, having a great time. We also had our youngest ever honorary Grand Marshal. Fanula Clymer, a Make-A-Wish recipient, was accompanied by her sister, her twin sister, and her parents, who led off the parade. And we're so happy to have her and her family take part in the parade. We also had retired local veterans Ed Potash and Sid Stein as our military Grand Marshals, and we were so happy to honor them for our service to our country. Lastly, a record number of volunteers came out, over 70 volunteers this year. In particular, we'd like to acknowledge several organizations that really brought out volunteers for us, specifically Oakton Community College, District 219's Dance Marathon, and the Skokie Community Foundation. I see some of them here tonight. Thank you so much. We're so grateful for our volunteers. We can't put on the parade without them. I think it's also important to acknowledge our supporters and essentially sponsors. We rely heavily on the Village of Skokie, Niles Township Government, and the Skokie Park District to put on the parade. And it's a tremendous partnership, and we're grateful for their support. And I see along the line, along the wall here, some of Skokie's finest, and of course, that's so critical and was critical to the success of this year's parade. So, thank you. It also takes a great team to undertake this organized chaos that is the parade. And I'm deeply grateful for a group of volunteers who serve on the committee with me. We met starting in February and would meet every week to make sure that we were on track for a successful parade. And I just wanted to acknowledge those committee members here tonight. Atanu Das, Lisa Handley, Arnie Oskin, Jim Hallam, Alan Gerstner. And Alan actually lives far away, and he still volunteers, so we're grateful for that. Michelle Malari, and of course Bob Quain, who's sitting right over there. Poor butterfly. So after the events of the last few years, it was really important for this parade to come back. And I'm so overjoyed at the joy that this community experienced for this year's parade. You could feel the energy in the staging lot and along the parade route, and we're excited about the parade for 2024. So thank you.
Rich, thank you. And I think I speak on behalf of everybody. We're grateful for all of the work it took to put the parade on. especially in light of COVID, and then immediately after COVID, having to call the parade off because of the unfortunate circumstances in Highland Park. It was very important that we have the parade this last year, and you did a marvelous job. Thank you for everything. And I think our congratulations go out to the award recipients from the Board of Health this year. Thank you for everything that you do for the community. Much of what you do is done silently, behind closed doors, but it's the important kind of work, the heavy lifting, that makes this such a great community. So thanks to all of you. And it gives me very great pleasure to introduce our Commissioner Bruce Rotner of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. And before you begin, Bruce,
Yes, sir.
let me just make one note. Our fire chief is here, Chief Hoflick. Last week, Chief Hoflick and the fire department officially received notice of having gotten, once again, the ISO designation of #1. I've been asked over the years, what's so important? In essence, who gives a damn about an ISO #1? Except what it takes to get it. It means that our fire department is part of less than 1% of all fire departments in the country. And it also takes cooperation with our Public Works Department. Obviously, you have a fire department, you have to have a source of water and water pressure and hazmat, the kinds of stuff that when you drive by the fire station, you really don't think about, and hopefully you never have to use them. But I think as all of us have seen what happened on Maui, it reminds us that these are the men and women who go toward danger while you and I are running away from it. And so our thanks goes to the chief and his whole staff for everything that they do, and it's recognition that's well-deserved, and we're all proud of you. Thank you, Chief, and thanks to the department. And with that, Commissioner Rotner.
Very, very well said, Mayor. Good evening. I'd like to take a moment to thank our mayor, Mayor Van Dusen, our village trustees, and our village manager, John Lockerbie, for allowing me the honor of representing the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission, and our chairman, Mr. Will Evans. Claudia, we'd also like to thank your family and your new friends, some old friends, but some new friends, who joined us here this evening. Their support here tonight and throughout your career will have an extraordinary impact on your success, and that success we know you'll achieve in the future. You are joining, or I should say you're actually rejoining, right? The men and women of the Skokie Police Department, nationally recognized as one of the finest police departments in our country, under the strong leadership of our Chief of Police, Brian Baker, who's here tonight. Serving as a police officer today means facing adversity and overcoming challenges. Many of those challenges I never had in my 39 years as a Chicago police officer. So to that end, I just know I speak for all Skokie residents when I want to thank all of you who are with us today, who are devoting your lives, your careers to law enforcement. Thank you. So let me be brief and let me end my personal comments before the board gets mad at me. I always end with a short quote. This one I dug way back for. This is from Plato. I think most of you are of age where you remember Plato. I don't think my grandson knows who Plato is, but Plato says it does not matter if the cobblers and the masons fail. to do their jobs well. But if the guardians fail, the democracy will crumble. Oh, there's a silence in the room. I guess it worked. Officer, will you come up here? Okay. This is going to be your oath of office, and we actually make two so you can actually read it. Here's your need to fumble over it. Okay. Okay, Claudia, face me, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Claudia Contreras,
Do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Illinois,
the state of Illinois,
the ordinances of the village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations
and the rules and regulations
of the police department
of the police department
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commissioners,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commissioners,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police officer to the best of my ability.
of police officer to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, officer. I'm going to have you sign something here, and then we'll be all good to go. And I know I had, I thought I had, there we go. Okay, if you can just sign this, Claudia, right here, and David. Great. And this is your certificate of appointment. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, Officer Contreras, would you introduce your family and friends who are here this evening?
Yes, sir. I would just like to take a second, sir, before I introduce my family members, to thank the village of Skokie and the Skokie Police Department. They took me, this is my second time working for the village of Skokie, and it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be part of the Skokie team. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Chief, and your team for allowing me that opportunity. And with that, I would like to introduce my younger sister, Illinois State Police Trooper Yesenia Contreras. And a friend and former colleague of the Bensonville Police Department, Officer Juan Ortiz. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. I needn't tell you that you're joining one of the finest police departments in the country, as Commissioner Ratner pointed out. The village is very proud of our police department and our fire department. As I said just a moment ago, when you're all going toward the danger, we're all fleeing it. And that sounds like a hackneyed expression, but I think we're reminded of that day in and day out when we see the news on television or we read it about in the newspapers. The men and women of our police department do very hard work, brave work, and we're proud of you, and congratulations. It's great to have you back.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. And let's take a short break so we can all congratulate our awardees. I'm sure they want to stay for the Cook County Class 6B Real Estate Tax Incentive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gail Schechter, 9033B Keating. And yes, I did ask, I did apply to serve on the Housing Subcommittee, but I did have I'll just say what I had written around this particular topic, which is simply, thank you for moving forward and appointing a Housing Subcommittee of the Plan Commission. And on behalf of Skokie Neighbors for Housing Justice, the grassroots group of Skokie residents on whose steering committee I serve, I am so pleased that the village is not casting this narrowly as an affordable housing policy, but instead as a unified housing policy that meets human needs and promotes community for people of all incomes and backgrounds. I strongly recommend that the subcommittee's first order of business be the commissioning of a full-fledged, professionally researched and customized Skokie housing needs and opportunities assessment. While it's impossible to draft a relevant, cogent, comprehensive plan without first doing the research, and I know all of you have said something to that effect here. So just wondering, what will the Housing Subcommittee's process be? Will the subcommittee chair, Mr. Ousley, be reporting back at each Plan Commission meeting? So just wanted to get more information about the workings of the committee. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. And Gail, thank you. Yes.
Kimberly Polka here. When an appointment was made earlier this year to the Plan Commission, despite the lack of an application, I questioned the appointment, and you, Mr. Mayor, offered a response detailing a long list of reasons this person was uniquely qualified to serve, stating, if I'm remembering correctly, that Skokie is lucky he was willing. The conversation that night and lack of an application led me to believe he did not apply to be reappointed and instead was recruited. I explained then his specific appointment may be an exception and that he may be genuinely well qualified, but reiterated I found the overall process questionable, frustrating, and not inclusive. Now I'm here again to speak on appointments, this time with regards to one that wasn't made for the Housing Subcommittee. Gail Schechter is a longtime resident, passionate about affordable housing, but more importantly, Skokie would be lucky to have such an expert serving on the subcommittee. Gail has worked for affordable housing for decades, and in 2012 was even appointed by the governor as the Affordable Housing Advocate on the State Housing Appeals Board, a position I believe she still holds. This point is moot now, but I didn't know when I wrote my comment a couple hours ago. I don't know if she applied, but I have to assume she did. And if I'm not, I am confident she would have served if asked. It's questionable to me why such an invaluable resource with her breadth of knowledge in the area would not be actively sought to participate in the subcommittee, and has me once again wondering if the committee is actually being set up with any intent to do real work.
Hi, I'm Rachel Van Hoos. I got nothing prepared. I do not want to discredit anyone that was nominated to be on this subcommittee and their qualifications and the commissions that they're on. I like quite a few of them. But the overall makeup of this subcommittee is problematic, and what did Gail say? It doesn't represent the diverse economic makeup and demographics of the village. Let's be real, it's overwhelmingly men, 11 out of 13, all in their 60s, mostly white, who don't have who don't have a variety of experiences in their own housing. Many have lived in the village for 20 or 30 years, in the same home. That is true stability. They have not experienced it. Or others develop properties, and, many of them have bought their houses or other properties outright cash. I don't know, if their life experience applies to this. Their professional experience, yes. Their degrees from the 70s maybe don't apply now, you know? You might want to get a more mixed bag of races, sexes, ages, and it would be more representative of the village if we're serious about this. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Yes.
I kind of want to raise two concerns just for the board's consideration. And to be clear, these are concerns about kind of the nominations as a whole. These are not concerns about any specific person that's been mentioned. Kind of like one of the speakers said, I kind of question whether this group is inclusive enough. Something I've mentioned multiple times in the past is that we've been appointing 3 times as many men as women to commission leadership positions. Tonight, these nominations include 5 times as many men as women. And second, kind of like some of the speakers, I just want to question whether this list includes enough people with really clear backgrounds in housing policy. I was hoping that a few more of our kind of local housing experts and advocates would make it on this list. So I want to just ask the board to consider maybe one of 2 things. One would be tabling this for just 1 meeting so that more applicants can be interviewed. It's my understanding that we have a few local housing experts who applied but were not interviewed yet. Or another alternative is to do something we've done in the past, which is we could add some ex officio members to this subcommittee in addition to the people that have been nominated here. These are kind of 2 options if this, yeah.
Oh, first of all, the board made a decision that they wanted each of the various commissions to nominate somebody to be on the commission, and then divided the village into quadrants. We then had a lengthy application period. It was publicized. We received 21 applications. And you are correct. There were 3 women who I reached out to see if they were interested in being on the commission. And one of the reasons I was delayed in bringing this to the board is because all 3 women considered it and in the end said they couldn't do it. Some for personal, some for professional reasons. It is, I would like to see more women all the way around applying for to be on commissions. That's something that we have, in fact, over the years struggled with, and we continue to. And we are by no means the only municipality that has had that problem, and we'll continue to encourage it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Emmy Yamauchi, a resident of Skokie. I'm just curious, so of the 21 applicants, none of them were women, and that's why you had to reach out to those 3?
No. There were only a couple. There were maybe 3 or 4 women. That was it.
Who applied?
3 or 4 who applied. That's right.
If you could walk us through the selection process, was everyone who applied interviewed, or you did kind of an initial screening for qualifications and then just interviewed a few?
It divided each application into which quadrant, and then went through. I had recommendations from members of the board. There were some applicants who came very highly recommended. I interviewed as many as I could, and then through the process of elimination, I tried to find as many people that had as varied experience as possible. Charlie Sachs, who I think many of you may know, I think, Gail, you know Charlie. He's on your committee. I'm not saying,
Gail applied,
I'm not, I understand.
but did you call her?
I know Gail.
She applied to the subcommittee.
I know she did. I'm well aware. I know Gail Schechter. I've known Gail Schechter for at least 20 years. So it's not, and it has nothing to do with Gail. I chose to recommend Sargon Zaya because he's a Syrian and he came very highly recommended. And the Assyrian community has asked to have representation. They have told us that they want to participate in what the village is doing. And Mr. Zaya came very highly recommended, and I thought it was important that the Assyrian community have an opportunity. Jonathan Lavin, who lives near Gail, as well as Mr. Zaya, was nominated by the Human Relations Commission. Mr. Lavin has spent 35-plus years as the director of the Area Agency on Aging. Nobody has had more experience than he has in advocacy. I think Gail probably would agree with me. He's a wonderful human being. He will add immeasurably, and I was very happy when the Human Relations Commission suggested him. I was very happy when the Sustainability Commission recommended Charlie Sachs, who I have enormous admiration for, and on and on. So,
Okay, so the commissions, those were commission selections, and you interviewed for the 4 remaining civilian ones, is that correct?
yes,
Okay, well
as
then,
well as the
all I
chairman.
can say is kind of wow, because as a minority myself, if what it takes is to go up to you and say, look, I'm a minority, I want representation,
No,
that
it-
did not come across really well, so I'm just gonna leave it at
Well,
wow.
that's not quite how it was meant. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
I vote nay.
Trustee Pure Slovin,
Aye.
Trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. Trustee Pure Slovan. Oh, let me first get I'm sorry, I need to get a motion first on Talia, Trustee Sucker, seconded by Trustee Johnson. Now,
This is difficult holding this and talking, sorry. Sure, that would be so, no, I'm okay. I could do this. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I ask that the renomination of Talia Guvuria be removed from the consent agenda, as I would like to address the unethical behavior of Trustee James Johnson. In an email blast and on social media post, he publicly shamed Talia for her recent lack of attendance at Plan Commission meetings. I find it despicable that an elected official would publicly call out anyone by name and embarrass them. May I remind Trustee Johnson that commissioners who serve on commissions are volunteers and residents of this village who always deserve our respect. Trustee Johnson, if you had shown an ounce of decency, you would have inquired as to why this commissioner was absent from these past meetings. You would have then discovered it was due to health reasons, which I don't believe it is my place to publicly discuss. This is the second time that I am aware that you have used bullying tactics against Skokie residents. I personally expect better behavior from anyone who is elected to serve in this village. In the future, if you have a concern about anyone who serves this village, whether elected or appointed, I expect you to speak with them first and never disparage anybody publicly.
Sorry, I didn't know this comment was going to be made tonight, but so I'll just offer just a kind of a brief comment and response. I would argue that this is kind of a misinterpretation of my words. I would have really greatly appreciated if you had spoken with me about this before the meeting, or if at least let me know. And
Just like you did with Tally.
I will say this, my only remark I have left is that I am voting yes for this reappointment tonight for our Plan Commission. I take no issue with this reappointment whatsoever.
I just want to comment as a citizen that I don't know who this commissioner is, but it's pretty common to just track somebody's attendance record at meetings, and if they're showing up to the public meetings that they've been elected to. I've seen this 100 times over. I'm so sorry that it was misinterpreted, but I don't think it is like ill-intended. I mean, we had 219 and there was a whole no-show campaign because he didn't show to meetings. He got reelected. He's a great chiropractor. I love him. He's this great guy. But it's not, it's our right to know who our elected officials are appointed if they're, participating in the process that they've been chosen for.
I don't think it's up to anyone. The last time somebody made a comment about somebody's attendance at a plan commission meeting, it was a resident who was tracking attendance. Some of us are watching. It's not up to us to know that it's for medical reasons. There is very clearly an ordinance that says a certain amount of missed meetings is unacceptable. Your righteous indignation, Trustee Slovin, is comical. You have barked at me at the podium, telling me that you don't appreciate the innuendo. You have bullied me while I was speaking and not to you. So for you to go after another trustee on the dais is comical. Your righteous indignation is not appreciated.
I'm the resident that's been tracking it, and for me, it's the Plan Commission. It's such an important commission. And it's the law, it's the rule, it's the ordinance. If you don't attend a certain amount of meetings, you shouldn't be there, whether it's health-related or what. It's a very important commission. And I'll be honest, also, I have not figured out what her qualifications are to even be on the Plan Commission. And that is not, the reason that Trustee Johnson brought up her attendance. It's an ordinance. Just like it was an ordinance for Mike Shaw to not be on the Plan Commission because he's an elected official in a really weird, I don't even know, whatever he was, a trustee, treasurer, whatever, right? And so he had to resign. And I know, pardon? Yeah, or Lacani, I tracked hers. To me, it's the rule, and I'm really sorry that maybe James put it out there publicly. I made it in public comments here. I don't have the wide range that Trustee Johnson has, but it's the ordinance. You got to play by the rules, and I'm really sorry that she's had health issues. So I really hope that she'll take things seriously and maybe ask more questions at plan commissions.
I think it's much more complicated than that, but.
Well, great, then James should be reached out for it.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovin,
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. Next item is report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Van Dusen, village trustees.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm very embarrassed. Abigail Sloan here with us this evening. I'm sorry, Abigail, it is going to be on the commission. That was just, and I beg your pardon. I got a little too wrapped up in this, I'm sorry. But thank you for your service. We very much, not just here, but also your service in your professional life. So thank you. We appreciate it very much. And would you introduce your... Yes, please.
Okay, this is my son. His name is Isaiah.
Hi,
and
Isaiah.
He's deaf and autistic, so I'm a special mother. This is my son. He just graduated from Niles West.
Terrific.
His name is Judah. Thank you.
Judah, congratulations. Thank you very much. And again, my apologies.
You can interrupt my report for that anytime. It's a pleasure to have you this evening. So item A is regarding Main Street, the commercial corridor study involving MKSK Incorporated based out of Chicago for an amount of $65,000. The Main Street commercial corridor is an important east-west thoroughfare in the village. Despite multiple public investments, there have been limited private investment, and thus the corridor has experienced steady vacancies, deterioration, and physical obsolescence, especially between Crawford Avenue and Kildare Avenue. The village sought the services of a qualified consultant to conduct a study of this section of the Main Street corridor and make recommendations for improvements. In anticipation of this work, a request for proposals or an RFP was solicited, and responses were received from 9 firms. It is staff's recommendation that a contract for the Main Street Commercial Corridor Study be awarded to MKSK Incorporated. The scope of services under this contract includes 3 main components: discovery, visioning, and development of plan concepts. The funding of this analysis will be provided by grant funding. I concur and respectfully request the mayor and board authorize the award of a contract to MKSK Incorporated in the not-to-exceed amount of $65,000.
A motion on the Main Street Commercial Corridor Study. Trustee Robinson, seconded by Trustee Kuhn. Are there any comments or any questions? Trustee Robinson.
I just had a quick comment. I know this has been an area that we've been trying to kind of shore up and support for so many months now. So I'm so thrilled and happy that we're committing and putting studies and resources behind the improvement of the corridor.
Am I allowed to speak? I've never done
Yes.
it before. Hi, I'm Molly Anderson. I live on Kildare, right south of Maine. And I was just curious, I was excited to see that this is something that y'all are investing in, and I was curious if during the exploratory or under the contract, if the organizing that's been happening this summer, the Meetup on Main work, is going to be included or incorporated into the work.
Yes, a number of us attended various of the meetup on Main Street, and Johanna Knighton, the Director of Community Development, who's sitting on the back row, attended as well and has talked about that work with the consulting firm. And so, absolutely, the intent is to build on all of the good things that have occurred through the years on Main Street and really build upon those and work it into the next chapter. And so Johanna Knighton is in the back row if you want to speak to her this evening about some of the particulars, but she'll be leading this effort with the consultant.
Great, awesome, thanks.
Thanks for your interest.
Trustee Sutgerd.
I just wanted to ask about the work that they've done in other places, and if there's, if somebody could comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Johanna Knighton is approaching the podium. She can speak in most detail about that.
So we had a very competitive group of people that applied for this. I was very impressed as a planner to see such great names and people interested in Skokie and Main Street. MKSK is a little bit newer to the area. They're growing their presence. They're national, so we are going to get some best practices from not just the region, but they've spent a lot of time in the Southeast and North Carolina, and I don't have their proposal right in front of me right now, but they've spent additional time in the Midwest, and I think there's some Omaha similar qualifications, and as well as the region. So they're familiar. They're one of the principals working on it lives, I believe she lives in Evanston, so she's very familiar with the area, and the whole firm really impressed us with their experience with Skokie already, and they had even attended some of the Meetup on Main Street events, so they really were excited about this opportunity in Skokie, and they saw the vision that the board is making towards the investment here.
Thank you.
Don't run away, I got some. Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. What
Okay.
kind of things can we expect from this study?
Sure. So I think first is a good understanding of the existing conditions. We have there's been a lot of work on who owns what property, what are the dimensions of this, but one of the things that we've heard is what can we really build here? What can make, some of the properties are in play, some of them are gonna stay the way they are for a long time. So a good triage and understanding of that, and then they're gonna give us 3 blocks or areas of, here's the things that we'll call the buttons and the levers that they can do to make these viable commercial properties. Many of those buildings are functionally obsolete. As we get into learning more about them, there's floor plates that just won't work for the equipment that needs to go in there. So those are the kinds of things that they're gonna help figure out. What are things that we could continue to use in the buildings, and what are things that we maybe need to rethink a different design for a block or a section of a block. I don't wanna put any of the properties on the spot that we're gonna take that one and flip it or do something. That's not the plan here. It's to understand how we can see a brighter, bigger, vibrant future in Main Street. And one of the things that this summer Meetup on Main Street is the market's there. There are people that you build it, they will come. And so we just have to figure out what the build it is so we can get the people something to do, because several hundred people on Main Street on a Friday night was an incredible sight to see. So there's a market there, and I think it also has helped them see that this was a great project to be part of.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovin.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
Item B is regarding a Cook County Class 6B real estate tax incentive at 7344 Monticello Avenue. And this is related to a current Village of Skokie business, M&M Equipment Corporation, that is looking to expand. And here this evening with us is Max Lieb, who's sitting in the back. And so let me tell you a little bit about the company and the good work they're doing and their expansion plans and how the real estate incentive can be of most assistance. Economic Vitality staff is recommending a Class 6B property tax incentive for the property located at 7344 Monticello Avenue. This property has been vacant for over 7 years and has not been updated in over 20 years. M&M Equipment Corporation, currently a Skokie business located across the street at 7355 Monticello Avenue, that sells new, used, and reconditioned industrial food processing equipment, purchased the property in March of 2023 for expansion. Some of the equipment that they refurbish is from the 1970s, and so it's nice to see the commitment to the environment and sustainability that this company has. They will operate out of both locations. The initial work in the new location will include roof and floor repairs, new HVAC system, electrical and plumbing upgrades, parking lot repairs, and new lighting and security system. Staff estimates that taxes for all 12 years of the reduced assessment would be approximately $143,000. Without a Class 6B reassessment, taxes for this property are estimated to be $314,200 for the same period of time. I concur with the recommendation and staff's assessment that this project is an excellent candidate for a Class 6B classification. I respectfully request Mayor and Board approval of a resolution authorizing this designation.
A motion upholding the manager's recommendation on a Cook County Class 6B real estate tax incentive of 47344 Monticello is in order. Trustee Johnson, seconded by Trustee Pure Slovin. Are there any comments or questions? Trustee Pure Slovin.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm delighted that they want to stay in the village. I think we thank you for that. I'm delighted that you're investing in a property that's been vacant for 7 years. I think this is a win-win for Skokie, as you had opportunities, I'm sure, to relocate to a new location. But for us to keep a business that's been here for so long and to assist the business so that we can rehab a property that's been vacant and continue being a partner with you in your business, I'm just delighted to see this, so thank you.
Please.
Hi, everybody. Have not done this before, as somebody else previously stated, but thank you guys for your consideration this evening. My name is Maxwell Lieb. I am second generation at M&M Equipment. Marty, Zach, and Mark Newman created the company. M&M, which was supposed to be a placeholder way back then of Mark and Marty. 32 years ago, they've been a part of Skokie. We've been a part of Skokie for 29 years, and we absolutely love the little industrial park that we are a part of. We love to see it be busy, at least not overly busy during the last couple days of the month with the emissions testing. But again, as a second generation, longtime business owner in Skokie, we would love to continue to expand. And again, we've got 7355. We also own the building next door, which is kind of jam-packed together, 7347, and rent property on the block as well in addition to that. So anything that we can do to help keep the industrial park thriving. It was mentioned about sustainability. One of the big things that we do, rebuilding older equipment, is helping other small businesses get into positions where they can purchase larger equipment and continue to grow their business as well. And we love to do that for local companies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll call the roll.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovin.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, congratulations.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Item C is regarding a resolution to approve execution of the Mutual Aid Alarm System, commonly referred to as MABUS, Master Agreement. This is really related to when our fire department, when our public safety employees need the assistance from other departments. So the Mutual Aid Box Agreement System, MABUS, was formed in the northwest suburbs of Chicago in 1968 to coordinate and deploy predetermined resources of personnel and equipment to meet operational needs for larger scale incidents. When an emergency exceeds a community's capabilities, additional resources are efficiently deployed through the MABUS network to overcome operational challenges. Recently, the MABUS Executive Board approved a new agreement to ensure that necessary resources can be deployed without obstacles for all forms of emergencies or threats to public safety. Based on our longstanding history of cooperation through the Mutual Aid Box Alarm System, I concur with staff's recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and Board approval of a resolution approving and authorizing a Mutual Aid Box Alarm System agreement.
A motion on the resolution to approve execution of the MABUS Master Agreement. Trustee Klein, seconded by Trustee Kuhn. Are there any comments or questions? If not, call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovin.
Aye.
Trustee Klein. Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
Item D was approved as part of tonight's consent agenda, and that completes my report this evening.
Next item on the agenda is report of our Corporation Counsel, Michael Lorge.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. Good evening, everyone. Item A is an ordinance that was removed from the consent agenda for second reading and adoption tonight. The first reading was on June 5th, 2023. This ordinance will grant a special use permit to establish and operate a drive-through for a Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin-Robbins limited service restaurant in a B3 business district located at 5252 Dempster Street, Skokie, Illinois. The new Duncan Baskin Robbins will adaptively reuse 16,600 square feet of a former commercial site with a drive-through operation. This location design offers favorable parking condition and an efficient drive-through queue. Additionally, relief from sections 118-212, small I, number 1, and 118-218 of the Skokie Village Code will be granted in order to allow continuous curbing less than 6 feet from the property line adjacent to a street frontage, and to allow for 16 parking spaces rather than 19. Mayor, I would ask for board action on this ordinance tonight.
A motion is in order. Trustee Robinson, seconded by Trustee Pure Slovan. Are there any comments or questions? If not, call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Nay.
Trustee Pure Slovan,
Aye.
Trustee Klein, Mayor Windows.
Aye, the motion passes.
Item B is an ordinance which is on my report for second reading and adoption tonight. The first reading was on June 20, 2023. This ordinance will expand the number of commercial liquor districts in the village with the creation of a Class E7 East Central District, which will include eastern portions of Main Street. Additionally, an E-license in the office research zoning district will be authorized. This ordinance also reflects the change in state law to allow sealed single-serving containers of wine, cocktails, and mixed drinks to be sold by restaurants for pickup or first-party delivery. Mayor, I would ask for board action on this ordinance, and I point out that it actually complements well the action taken in terms of Main Street earlier this evening.
A motion on the alcohol and liquor code amendments. Trustee Johnson, seconded by Trustee Klein. Are there any comments or questions? If not,
No,
call-
there's one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's just a comment. I was
Sorry.
gonna reiterate the reimagining of the corridor and how this 100% adds to the opportunities and flexibilities of what could potentially happen there.
And to clarify, it really speaks to restaurant activity in that area. That's what it focuses on, as we did in certain other parts of the village.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan, Trustee Klein, Mayor Windows.
Aye, the motion passes.
Finally, item C is an ordinance which is on my report for second reading and adoption tonight. The first reading was on August 7th, 2023. This is a routine ordinance to effectuate backlot bash activities in terms of the liquor license needed for the area. So specifically, we will be granting temporary relief from Chapter 10, Section 10-10 of the Skokie Village Code pertaining to the possession and consumption of alcohol liquor on village-owned property. On August 25th, 26th, 27th, bears repeating, August 25th, 26th, 27th, coincidentally this weekend, the Skokie Park District is sponsoring Skokie's annual Backlot Bash. The Skokie Park District has received a temporary liquor license for the 2.5-day event. As in previous years, the Park District will restrict the consumption of alcoholic liquor to a defined and fenced-in area, which will include portions of the public right-of-way of Oakton Street and the Village Hall parking lot, as well as the Village Green. Therefore, this relief is sought and has generally been given in every year of this event. Mayor, I request board action on this ordinance tonight.
A motion is in order. Trustee Sucker, seconded by Trustee Robinson. I dare somebody to vote against this. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Absolutely,
Trustee
yes.
Robinson,
It's not gonna be me.
Trustee Kuhn,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan,
Yes.
Trustee Klein, Mayor Van Dusen.
Definitely, yes.
And Mayor,
Motion passes.
that will conclude my report, and we'll see you all August 25th, 26th, and 27th at the Batlock Bash.
And I just want to make certain, John and I were discussing, when trustee Johnson took the housing subcommittee, or Gail took the housing subcommittee off, we did approve under the consent agenda Bijou Krishnan as chairman of the Consumer Affairs Commission. Just wanted to make sure of that. He's going to do a great job. Final item this evening is public comment.
Actually, just one thing before public comment while we're, this is under unfinished business. I just have a question. We have yet to review a draft ordinance concerning the updates to our appointment process for village attorneys that we discussed in May. And so I just wanted to ask, is there a timeline for when this ordinance will be reaching the board?
I don't know of a timeline.
I don't believe we have a timeline. We've been very focused on the, of course, the affordable housing. So.
Will this be returning to the board?
Yes, at some point, yes. I don't know when. Whenever the department has a chance to begin studying it, yes. Yes.
So first, I want to thank everyone for spending my 13th wedding anniversary with me. I know it's hard to believe that somebody has been married to me for 13 years, or that I'd want to spend it with you all. Or that for the hours before the meeting, I wrote public comments and made him time me as he was making dinner and ate half of it and put the rest in the fridge, only to realize I could split them into two because something could be taken off the consent agenda and still have time to ramble about my 13th wedding anniversary. I am still Kimberly Polka. I attended the August 14th mapping meeting, which I found to be a step in the right direction. There's lots of wonderful things I could say about the meeting, John Lockerbie, in case you're listening, but they're going to time me. So, because I may run out of time, I'm going to start here. It's clear that some residents still have fears regarding what the referendums mean, thanks to disinformation, spread, fighting our citizen-led campaign to bring democracy to Skokie. I personally spent months refuting disinformation while talking to voters, and I am only one of many. The first time I read about wards and fighting for resources was in April of 2022, an article where the mayor said that passage of the referendums would balkanize Skokie. The disinformation did not stop there and continued with mailers I've already spoken about ad nauseum. At the mapping meeting, when the question was asked, the hired attorney for the village and the village manager dispelled the disinformation about wards and resources. Great for the people who attended or watched and could hear the live stream. Now that the referendums have passed and will be implemented, more must be done to be sure the public understands what these referendums will not do. They will not eliminate parties, only their designation on the ballot. They will not mean someone's street isn't going to be paved because of rare and limited resources being fought over. Skokie's form of government means the village manager prepares the annual budget and directs and coordinates activities of all village departments, aside from the corporate council office. This will not turn Skokie into Chicago. Finally, I asked if the village would be actively seeking public input between the September 11th meeting and the presentation to the board in November. In short, it was explained by the marketing manager that the September 11th meeting would be in the same format, where there would be an opportunity for public input, and that the email address would also be available for folks to send comments. A single meeting with 3 days to review the materials beforehand, with no option to participate remotely, unreliable audio for those watching the live stream, and information offered only in English is not enough. The village must do more to actively seek public input on implementation of the referendums voted on by the public. I urge the village to look back to the interactive listening session held last year regarding the sustainability plan, which was a meeting with remote participation available for those unable to attend in person. And I urge the elected officials who were spreading disinformation regarding what these referendums would mean to take the time to correct it.
Good evening. My name is Matt Temkin. I am here tonight speaking on behalf of the Skokie Alliance for Electoral Reform. We are the grassroots nonpartisan ballot initiative committee that created the 3 referendum questions for nonpartisan ballots, staggered terms, and hybrid representation. Obtained the signatures of thousands of Skokie voters and spread the word throughout Skokie to pass these much needed reforms. The intent of these reforms is to increase candidate and voter turnout, to promote fair, transparent, and accountable representation, and to address the longstanding underrepresentation of large parts of Skokie. At last Monday's meeting on the process by which the village will create 4 equivalent electoral districts, we were pleased to learn about the criteria the village plans to use to draw the maps, and we were excited to see such a large turnout. Still, the meeting left the Alliance and other residents with several questions and concerns. The village's community outreach and engagement processes are insufficient. For more than 9 months after the referendums were adopted by popular vote, there was no outreach to solicit input from the community. In particular, the village did not hold any community listening sessions or meetings, nor has the village involved in any way the Skokie Alliance for Electoral Reform, the group that crafted and circulated these referendums. Problems with accessibility and inclusion have arisen with the initiation of community participation. All of the information about the referendums and the requests for input have been in English only, a glaring problem in a place as diverse as Skokie. We have heard from many people that they have had difficulty hearing much of the presentation and the recorded video. The village also informed the public that at the upcoming meeting on September 11th, Skokie residents will be presented with only 1 map to review. Furthermore, there is no clear plan presented to collect community input on a revised map after that meeting. How and when will Skokie residents have an opportunity to provide input on the revised map? We urge the village to follow the example of other municipalities that are more actively engaging residents in electoral district mapping processes. For example, Portland, Oregon has proposed 3 map options, not 1, for public input. With various ways to provide input over time, including many public hearings, a phone line, a web form, email, and snail mail, and they have provided the information in multiple languages. Locally, when School District 65 recently redrew the student assignment map, they used a similar process with many meetings in English and Spanish, including meetings via Zoom, multiple proposed maps and methods for providing input, and multiple phases for input and revisions. In a place as diverse as Skokie, it is critical that we engage our community broadly and that the process for drawing these districts be transparent and inclusive. I'm going to now turn it over to my colleague, Emmy, to focus on our questions and requests at this time.
Hi, I'm Emmy Yamauchi again, and I'm like third banana here after Matt Temkin, and I'm reading this on behalf of Matt Jarvis, who's on the steering committee of the Skokie Alliance for Electoral Reform. So our main questions and requests at this point are, what is the deadline for residents to email their public comments in time for their input to be reviewed and considered in the mapping process before the September 11 meeting? And what arrangements are made for accepting comments after September 11? How will you increase transparency and inclusion in this process? We particularly encourage you to provide information and solicit input in multiple languages and forums across multiple channels instead of only at limited in-person meetings, and that you involve the Alliance in this process. The village noted at last Monday's meeting that this was a citizen-led initiative, and yet you have shut out the very citizens who created these referendums, who know their intent and their spirit. And this showed in the misleading information that was presented at the Monday meeting and in the obfuscation when answering residents' questions. The Alliance has had conversations with more than 4,000 Skokie residents. We know what the most common questions are, and we have clear, concise responses to them. Please utilize our experience and include us in the planning for and facilitation of the September 11 meeting. We want to make this succeed as much as you do. A primary intent of these electoral reforms is to increase choices for voters, in alignment with the will of the voters for increased choice and the overwhelming community support for multiple map options during the public comments period at the meeting. Please post in a timely manner multiple potential maps, as well as the criteria that were used to draw each one, and the pros and cons of each for the community's consideration well in advance of September 11. We need time to digest these. I'm going to go a little bit off script here and say one of the other options would also be to provide an overlay map, if it's possible, that shows all of the different considerations, factors that go into it, the age, geography, income, population, school district, race, overlay it so that we have an idea of what is dominant in each of the different options. Please post clearly, and again, in multiple languages, in multiple forums, the timeline and process for integrating public input from the September 11 meeting and for soliciting public input again on the revised maps, and I'm going to use plural there. Also, please combine the reforms for staggered terms and hybrid representation so that the district-based trustees are elected in one election, and the at-large positions like mayor, clerk, and the two at-large
Ms.
trustees.
Yamaguchi?
Okay,
Yeah,
are
3
elected,
minutes.
I've got 4 more sentences, are elected in the other election. Because with this configuration, you can encourage the greatest voter turnout in the elections, as the positions that will likely be most to motivate voters to turn out are the mayoral position and the local district-based trustee positions. We can also avoid giving any district disproportionate influence on certain at-large positions because of the likely greater voter turnout in a district when their district-based trustee is on the ballot. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. We look forward to working together to make every vote matter in Skokie.
Can we have your comments?
Pardon me?
Can we have a copy of your comments?
Sure, I mean, they're kind of marked up, but yes.
Oh,
I'll
I'm
se- I will
sorry.
se-
Okay,
I will
thought-
send them.
I'm sorry. That's okay. That's okay.
Yes, I will send them to you,
No,
Ms.
that's
Ms.
okay.
Mayor. Thank you.
I'm Judy Mendel. If you can give me a minute warning, Mayor, that would be great. I live in Williamsburg Village. I watch the mapping meeting from home and have some constructive comments, I hope. And these are my personal comments. I know the sound was awful. I could barely hear. I hope that'll be fixed for the next meeting. I know it was the library. You're not exactly in control there. I feel that if people have second comments and everyone has spoken and time is left, they should be heard. Questions and ideas come up as the meeting goes on and citizens want to comment again. It was wrong to not let the last woman who stood up to speak again at the meeting, as there was still time left and no one else was waiting to talk. Why block interested citizens out of the process, especially when her first comment did not take up 3 minutes? She had one question. You have the chance to make citizens feel heard. It is still unclear to me why a representative from the Skokie Alliance for Electoral Reform was not invited to participate formally in the meeting, perhaps just sitting at the table to answer questions. This is the same as the experts in housing being invited to the affordable housing meetings. You could have predicted that there would be general referendum questions that citizens would have. For example, the way your expert answered the question about nonpartisan elections made it seem that a party could not slate candidates, which they certainly can. It's just that the party designation is not listed on the ballot, and everyone running will have the same filing date, an important point which I won't go into here. The next meeting, whoops, how does that go? Whatever. The next meeting should include what the lawyers are planning to do with staggering. Besides deciding which positions will run in which years, it's obvious from another question by a citizen, not part of the alliance, that people think some trustees will have 2-year positions.
Judy?
1 minute? Great. And don't understand that this is only the first time this will happen. These questions were answered in this meeting, but it's a question that other people will continue to have too. All of these nuances need to be addressed. The village should have a special meeting to explain all of this. Perhaps FAQs should be posted on the Skokie website, just as they are on the Alliance website. This Alliance literature was quite clear and concise. It showed the referendums passed. It feels to me personally that the powers that be don't want to accept that the Alliance is also an expert. Instead, they seem to feel that the Alliance is an annoyance and an adversary. Please prove me wrong. Thank you. Can you see this? You want a copy of this? Or no?
Sure. Just give it to Trustee Kuhn. Thank you.
Hi, Gail Schechter again. This is about housing. I wanted to thank so many of you, including Village Council Lorge, for listening and learning about inclusionary zoning, and a number of us with Skokie Neighbors for Housing Justice met with several of you and appreciated your interest and questions. So I just have two quick questions. What's happening with the inclusionary zoning ordinance draft? And if there are significant revisions to the draft, would the board consider a third reading or discussion, or postponing the vote to a third meeting to allow for more input? So that's my first question. And then just a second point, just that I know that the Plan Commission has before it a proposal from a developer for the Erie Crown School for 68 luxury townhomes that has no affordable housing proposed. The developer is trying to entice support by offering the village cash in lieu of affordable housing. I would urge the village board to signal to staff that fee in lieu, as this is called, is not an option at this time, because Skokie has no ordinance and no affordable housing trust fund or rules for the use of the fund. And because of that, only on-site affordable units should be considered. In municipalities with effective inclusionary housing policies, fees in lieu are specifically earmarked for purposes like supporting nonprofits like a community land trust, giving that developer funds for building or acquiring an equivalent number of units within the town, or providing rental subsidies either to landlords or individual households. So please be aware that developers will often use the affordable housing set-aside requirements as a Trojan horse to get exponentially larger numbers of luxury units shoehorned in, and then the affordable units, which in weak ordinances will expire anyway, have no impact on the overall alienation or displacement of low and moderate income people or people with disabilities. So just asking that you not set a precedent with allowing a fee in lieu at this development. So those are my 2 points. Thank you.
Just a quick partial response is, as we said at the last meeting, we expected to have it either here tonight or next meeting. Obviously, it's not here tonight. It will definitely be at the next meeting. And it was just a process going through it with staff and looking at other municipalities to see what things they have done. We're going to circle back and get any other input, and it'll be here at the next meeting. Most of it is really the same. There's one new idea possibly that's going to be in it that I think you'll embrace, and we'll go from there. And of course, if it's the will of the board to take a little more time to absorb it and talk about it, there's no, it's sort of a push-pull though. As you indicated, you're ready to get it out there to affect and dictate various developments. On the other hand, we want to make sure, and that's what we've been doing these weeks, trying to make sure we're covering all the thoughts, all the progressive approaches, and as I said, one that I think will be unique and well received.
Hi, I'm Rachel Van Hoos. Briefly on the Main Street development and the housing ordinance, I'm not super clear on it, but I believe it's $150,000 to like buy out of participating. In San Francisco, they pay over $70,000 a year per homeless person. It's in the billions. My friend just visited 2 weeks ago. He's lived there 30 years. And when we talk about displacing people and charging $4,000 rents, that ain't Skokie. But I didn't mean to come to talk about Main Street. I'm affiliated with nobody. Gail and I have never had a conversation in my life. I've never sat by her in a meeting. She happens to be behind me. I'm surprised she doesn't say this, but she applied for your subcommittee, and you say you've known her all of these decades, but you didn't call her or interview her. That seems like a huge oversight. I don't need an answer. Your Assyrian choice is a landlord who buys buildings cash, and he does seem to charge affordable rents, which I appreciate. But I wonder how many people on the board even vetted that list of people. It was pretty clear from the first motion, we got one motion and then 3 people made a second, how that vote was going to end. I do want to thank the village for putting the sidewalks back in front of the Hilton. Thank you to the village manager for getting that all together. And thank you to the village manager, the parks department, the police, and everybody who's been like really responsive and helpful with some matters going on. And what did I really come up here to say? I want to circle back to May 15th quick, because he mentioned it as unfinished business, and that discussion was about appointment process, and it really became laser focused on the corporation council and not so much on the commissions, and that, you kind of focused on that. And it's not about Michael Lorge at all. It's about the process. But I just want to point out, every single person on this board at that time said that they were completely opposed to outside counsel, farming it out that we shouldn't do it, that it was just completely unheard of. And 2 months later, y'all turned tail and voted for a large contract for your outside counsel. If you roll back, somebody in that May 15th meeting, James actually asked for a outline of your discussion of that appointment process, and a trustee said, you can roll it back on YouTube. Yes, you can. There's a transcript on YouTube, too. And so I just want to see how quickly you guys can kind of change what you say, and it, as kind of a whole. It's a little creepish, and I just want to point it out that you literally all said at the May 15th meeting that didn't want to farm out outside counsel at all, and 2 months later, everybody's in favor of it because all of a sudden it's, a lawsuit, and we're all claiming that we, don't have any expertise in the matter when we are so confident in our personal counsel.
3 minutes are up.
What's that?
3 minutes are up.
That's cool, but I appreciate the corporation counsel in-house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to address the board? Yes.
I just want to say real quickly that I'm really excited that the village's new sustainability coordinator is going to start work this week. I just want to point this out. I think it's a really exciting moment in our environmental sustainability work. And I just wanted to thank our manager and our staff for everything they've done to bring our new sustainability coordinator on board and integrate them into our manager's department, manager's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sucker,
I move we adjourn.
we are adjourned.